Hey, this is Brian with Fish Creek Marine and Microdraft Boats. We're in the shop today talking about jack plates. I have several customers calling to order these, and there's always a lot of questions about what's included, what do I need. So figure we'd do a quick video to kind of showcase what you get in the box, when you get your box, and what other accessories you might need to install Bob's jack plate on your boat at home or in the shop. So this is a 6-inch action jack. It's what we use exclusively on the Microdraft boats. The 6-inch is rated up for 625 pounds or 300 horse. So pretty much fits any bill for a small to medium to large bay boat. This is the box you're going to get. It's the 6-inch action jack, like I said. Let's go ahead and see what's included with the box. So you open it up, there'll be an included parts box. This one will say Action Jack or Action on it. In here, one of the features about the Action Jack is the internal pump and ram assembly is all one unit. So it's all one unit inside the Action Jack plate itself. So unlike some of the other units in the past, there's no external pump, no hoses, there's no reservoir to be leaking. So that's always a positive, and it keeps you from having to use up vital real estate inside your bilge area or inside your rigging area for an external pump and hoses. So this is what you get inside with the Action Jack. The control, this is everything you need to control the unit. This is your 3-wire switch control. This goes towards the cable that goes up to the helm for your up and down buttons. This wire with the breaker on it, this is your battery plus and minus right here. And this wire with the 2-prong heavy duty Deutsch on it, this goes to the actual Action Jack plate itself. You basically mount this somewhere in the vicinity of your battery. You have several feet of hot and ground that you can remotely mount it, and enough room for you to hook your cable up to the jack plate. Included also is the extension cable. This goes onto your control harness. This is what you plug in there, run up to your helm station or wherever you have your up and down button, and your up and down button. So basically that's everything you need to hook this up electrically. The control box, control relay box, extension cable, and your up and down button. And also included is your instructions. So make sure you read these right side up. A lot of information on here. This is not a how to install video, so please read your instructions. That's everything you get with the plate in the accessories box. So we'll put that aside. Packing material, keep the jack plate from moving around. Registration card and Bob's sticker is included with the jack plates. And finally, the jack plate. This is just the Action Jack plate. Again, here's your motor harness that goes onto the Deutsch harness. It comes off the control system. These two plug together. And that gives the power and direction to the motor, which way to go, up or down. Here's the pump, reservoir, and the ram assembly, all in one piece. Travel stop. This is your indicator for visual indication. You have your scale here. This will tell you how high the jack plate is up. For those of you running power poles, the Action Jack there's a sticker here, but inside you can feel the dimples. There's 2 holes on either side to mount power pole brackets off of. I don't know if you can make it out, but in here, there's the holes, here and here. Right there and there. Power pole makes their own brackets for these. You can put your 6 foot, 8 foot, 10 foot bracketry off the back of it. So this is the business end of the jack plate. This is the transom side. When you remove your motor from your hull, you can reuse your bolts that held the motor on to hold this plate on. So basically you use a device to hold the motor safely up, unbolt it, back it up a little bit so you have room to work, put your jack plate in place, put a little sealant around the holes where your bolts are going through, and rebolt the jack plate to the transom. The only thing extra you're going to need is 1 more set of bolts from the motor to the actual plate itself. Just because you're reusing the bolts here between the transom and the jack plate, you have to do an additional set of bolts between your motor and the jack plate itself. That's all you're going to need. So measure out, this is a 1/2 inch plate, your motor, measure your motor flange, and then add your washer and nut thickness, and that's the bolts you're going to have to get. You're going to have to get 4 of them. So whenever everybody asks us and sends us messages asking us what you're going to need extra, that's basically it. A set of bolts, 4 bolts, 1, 2, and then 2 bottom ones. And that's pretty much it. This is the plate side where your motor is going to mount to. Your motor bolt positions. And that's the bolts I spoke of you're going to have to need. The only thing extra is that, to have a fully functional and working jack plate. Now, if on the gauge side, accessory-wise, if you wanted to have an external gauge to show you your level, if you have a tower situation where you can't look back and see the boat or see the motor on the back of the boat to read the gauge back here, if you can't physically see this from where your helm station is, Bob sells the gauge kit for the Action Jacks. With this kit, you get a gauge sensor and all the wiring and a gauge for it. It's very simple. Your gauge indicator is removed. There's a magnetic piece that replaces it. I'll open this one up, kind of show you. That's the unit. This sensor here, there's 2 small holes here. The sensor mounts to those, there's screws included. Word of caution, take the screws are very small. Grease them. Do not put them in dry. If you try to put them in dry, you're going to gall them and they're going to pop off. You're going to rip them, twist them off. Make sure you grease them liberally and do not over tighten. Snug it down, give it a little bit of turn. You don't have to put 15 pounds of torque on it. If you do that, you're going to crack the top. Just going to tell you. Here's all the wiring and everything included. Instructions, make sure you read them. This is not an instructional video, this is just an unboxing. So basically, make sure you read the instructions. Grease the screws with grease or never seize. This is the packet that has the screws in it, 2 screws, and then this screw will come off. Use a number 3 bit. Remove the indicator plate, replace it. This indicator plate has a small magnet at the end of it. That's what is used in conjunction with this to give a digital reading to the gauge. So 2 screws, plate with a magnet on it. It bolts in one way, you bolt it down, mount this here, do not over tighten. And then this comes out, and this is your gauge. Power and ground. Generally we hook ours to the ignition side, fuse, and this is your cable that joins this one from the gauge. So basically this is a very simple setup. Power and ground, and it's working. Install the sensor, install the magnet, grease the screws before you do it, and do not over tighten. And that will give you a remote sensor and let you know exactly the position of your jack plate anytime you're using it. Well, hopefully that cleared up a lot of questions. You know, we get quite a few of them. Just people asking what's needed, what's included. You know, what else am I going to need? That's mainly the questions. You know, what else am I missing? So just to recap, this is a jack plate. The Action Jack is fully encapsulated pump, reservoir, and ram all in one. You'll need an extra set of bolts from your motor to the jack plate. 4 bolts, washers, lock nuts, jam nuts if you're using them, but we recommend lock nuts. When you bolt them on, make sure you lube your bolts and nuts. You're going to gall them if you don't. You can also get brass lock nuts. That'll prevent that, but if you're using stainless, which you should be, make sure you lube them. That's basically, as we talked about before, to install the jack plate as is, you need 4 extra bolts. That's it. That doesn't come in the kit because different motors, different lengths. You're going to reuse your transom bolts to mount it to there. Make sure you put some sealant around your holes on your transom. That way you don't have water leaks. If you want the external gauge for your helm, you know, they have that available also, the Bob's Gauge Kit. They do come in black, white for the gauge bezel. You can get a black with the stainless trim also. Generally this is just a black one. That's what we use, what we have in the shop. But it's an awesome tool. Saves you from having to turn around and look, find out where your motor's at in the range of the jack. But thanks for watching. And one other thing, when you put it together, make sure you grease them. They have a little bit of grease from the factory. You have 2 Zerk fittings, one here and one on the other side in the same spot. Definitely lube it. Another option, if you don't have a Zerk fitting, some of these you have to use a very small size coupler to get in here. If you don't have one, there's also the best way we found to grease them, and honestly what we use most of the time is run the jack plate all the way up, and we have a tub of white lithium that we have a brush with, and you brush the surface of this plate, everything that's exposed, front and back on this side, and then on the inside there's a track. It's not up, so I can't really show it to you. But when you jack this all the way up, there's a track. There's it's not nylon, but it's a track that this slides in. You just take your brush or your finger or whatever, a tube of grease, white lithium, and you lube the track. And that actually gives you a better disbursement of the grease on the plate itself than just zerking it on the sides. The Zerk fitting generally from our experience, when you grease them, it tries to ride up the sides here, and it doesn't fully come apart or go across the plate surface. Just from over the years using them and installing them, we found just simply lubing the tracks ourselves with a brush works best. So that's pretty much it. That's a Bob's Jack Plate 6-inch Action Jack. Just a basic unboxing, kind of show you what's included, accessories that are available, and what you're going to need to install it on your boat or your skiff. If you have any questions, you can look us up on microdraftboats.com or fishcreekmarine.com. Thanks for watching.